9 News Plus weather, sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
Hey, it's 9 News meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen. We have what I call a storm train. So yesterday's storm was number 2 in this sequence. We have number 3 coming up tomorrow, and another one, the 4th one, coming in on the weekend. So before we get discussing the forecast about those, let's kind of reel in that last storm, because it was a slow mover and it did get up to some significant snow totals. In the area, got up to that 8 to 12 inch mark. So it's one of those storms that kind of looks good on paper, because if you look at just the highest totals, everything was some very significant numbers. Now, take in the fact that most of us in the Denver metro area got 6 to 8, and there's quite a few places on the eastern plains that also got 6 to 8. But if you look at the areas that did get hit with those bands, we got some really big totals. The biggest total that we got on an official report so far was the 12.5 inches in Bennett. That was just south of Bennett, kind of in between the Bennett and Watkins exit on I-70. So there was a band that stretched from about that area all the way up the eastern edge of the metro up into Keensburg. And so we saw 12-inch, 1-foot totals all the way down that edge. And Denver International Airport just caught a little piece of that. So got some significant totals there as well. But you look at the foot there on the Palmer Divide in Elizabeth, Castle Rock and Kiowa coming in with 10 inches. So the Palmer Divide did very well out of this. And then the Eastern Plains, where we had that kind of 8 to 12 inch forecast because of that banding. It wasn't a big band, but there were enough of them to get many 10 to 12 inch totals out that way too. So it's one of those deals where it really looks huge on paper, but the totals were really in between 6 and 12 inches. So the same thing goes for the city of Denver, because if you look at our official report, which comes from Denver International Airport, 9.2 inches for the day. That's actually the 8th largest January snowstorm in our city's history, and that goes back 140 years as far as snowfall records. Now, the caveat to that, of course, is that the majority of the Denver area got between the 6 to 8, but because that one spot at DIA got hit officially, it's a lot bigger than it is. And that's always the case in the Denver area. There's always one spot that has a significantly more snow totals than the rest of the area. This time, it just happens to be DIA. And so you see how it kind of stacks up with the history of storms. Nowhere near that record 16.3 inches, but really getting up there. And it's the biggest January storm since 1992, when we had the 14.8. Now, looking outside right now as we kind of get into the forecasting of it, we had clear blue sunny skies this morning, and those have been replaced now by some high clouds moving into the area. And that is an indication of some moisture, some more moisture heading our way. We get those high clouds first. Still some relatively warm temperatures for most of the area underneath those clouds, but that's just an indication of what's coming up next. And that is storm number 3 in this sequence. And that's going to be impacting the state all through the day tomorrow and through most of the day Saturday as well. So taking a look out at the watches and warnings that we have in place right now, you have the avalanche warning that's still continuing for parts of the San Juan Mountains. Pretty much all the mountains are in a considerable avalanche danger, which is a level 3 out of 5. But that warning is a little bit more significant, and that is in the San Juans. And then draw your attention to, not sure what that is there, draw your attention to the southeast plains here. Keep wanting to call this camera up because I want everybody to see the winter scruff that I've got built up on my face right now. There we go. Let's see. There we go. Now it's moving into the southeast plains there, because this storm that's coming up on Friday, very similar deal, 5 to 10 inches, very slow moving wet storm, but this time it's going to impact the southeast plains instead of the northeast plains. So the areas in red, those counties in the red, are the winter storm warnings. So 4 to 10 inches of heavy wet snow forecast for those areas, especially between Highway 50 and Highway 160 down there on the southeast plains, but it does also include the I-25 corridor from Walsenburg down into Trinidad and parts of the Sangre de Cristo mountain range as well. Then you have the winter weather advisory, and that includes all of Pueblo County, where you're looking at 2 to 7. I'd say Pueblo, the city of Pueblo, would be on the lower end of that, but just south of Pueblo in the southern part of Pueblo County is where you'll get into those higher snow totals. And then there's another shade of blue out towards the east, and that is still a winter storm watch. And those counties are handled by the National Weather Service out of Goodland and Dodge City, and they have not yet decided whether to put those counties into the warning or the advisory, but they will be affected by that storm that comes through tomorrow. Hey, there's that camera again. I like to call this up for some reason. Everybody gets to look at my scruffy face once again. Let me see if I can actually move past this graphic without calling that camera back up. Here's the computer forecast model with the statewide zoom out view. Starts you out at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. You got some snow showers out in the southwest part of the state, also Utah and Arizona and New Mexico as well. But it just kind of starts moving into Colorado and from the southwest tomorrow morning. Nothing on the east half of the state at 10 a.m., but by about noon, you start to see this storm system starting to take shape, and that will spread the snow showers out a little bit further towards the eastern side of the state. You may even see a few snow showers in the Denver metro area, in the foothills and the Palmer Divide. But it's really after about 2 o'clock where you really start to get this storm system in action. And you can see by the computer forecast model showing you that the focal point of the storm will be the southeast part, and it will be heavy wet snow, even mixed in with some heavy rain down there in Baca County, maybe even a thunderstorm before this starts to transition into an all snow event. But now we'll talk about the Denver metro area in a minute, because Denver will be impacted by this just a little bit. But when we have the statewide view, I want to focus on just maybe the southeast part of the state. You see that storm system just kind of slowly swirl its way out of there, and note the time frame there, Saturday at 5 p.m. So it's going to be another very slow moving, swirling storm. So it may take a good 18 to 24 hours to get the snow totals up to the forecast range of 4 to 10 inches. So you have to exercise some patience down there in southeast Colorado, much like we had to do in northeast Colorado for our storm yesterday. It just kind of dragged on and gradually built up those snow totals to where they were kind of expected to be much earlier in the day. They got there, it just took much longer. Same situation could unfold for southeast Colorado tomorrow. Now let's zoom in on the front range now, because we will be impacted by this storm just a little bit as it's kind of more focused to the southeast. But we'll start this computer model out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. No activity in the foothills or on the front range just yet. But as you move forward to about noon, 1 o'clock, that's when we start to see those snow showers develop in the mostly in the higher country, where the foothills are between 7,000 and 9,000 feet, but also down towards the south metro in the Colorado Springs area. Palmer Divide could get a few snow showers a little bit earlier than everyone else. But as you see by the description here, by the computer model simulation, we're not looking at a significant amount of snow here in the Denver area, but we could get snow showers between about 2 p.m. to about 8 or 9 p.m. And that light snow in that time could amount to about a half inch to an inch. Maybe in the south part of the metro there, Castle Pines, Castle Rock could get up to 2 inches, maybe a little bit further out on the Palmer Divide, up into Elizabeth and Kiowa, Franktown. Those are the areas that could possibly get up into that 2-inch range. But for most of the Front Range from Denver on north, we're looking at 0 accumulation to about 1 inch. And then you see on the Northeast Plains, do catch a little bit of that storm up there as well, but we're not looking at a significant amount of accumulation north of I-70. So most of this will be focused down there to the south. Now, we've been talking about that storm train. Yesterday was kind of number 2 in the sequence. It was a slow mover, but as you see here, Friday at 5:30, it hit the jets. It put on the gas. It went through the Great Lakes today, and it'll be in the northeast part of the country by 5:30 tomorrow. And then that big red low pressure system that you see swirling over the Colorado Four Corners area, that is the Friday storm. So we'll put that in motion so you can kind of see the jet stream, how it works here, moves just slowly across the bottom part of Colorado and almost slowly parks itself out just to the east of the state, and that is why it's going to take a while for this storm to deliver all of its impacts to southeast Colorado. And then on Saturday, for the Denver area, we're looking at mainly a dry day, but we could get some windy conditions because of that storm just parked off to the east of our state. And then here's number 4. This is the next storm that's diving into the Great Basin there, just near Utah and Nevada on Sunday night, and that's going to be the storm that's going to impact us throughout the day, the late part of Sunday into Monday morning. And what I note about that is that it kind of gets cut off from the jet stream, and so we call that a cutoff low. And when they get cut off from the jet stream, they have very little guidance as far as things around them, like pressure systems that are trying to move them. So it could be quite a wild card to what may happen on Sunday night into Monday. And you can see that on the 7-day forecast. We'll have that off day on Saturday with the breezy conditions. But for Sunday into Monday, right now it is looking like kind of a 1 to 4 inch kind of storm accumulation wise for the Denver metro area. But we have seen the gamut over the last 24 to 48 hours as far as computer modeling goes. We've seen 1 to 2 inches out of the storm, and we've also seen 3 to 6. So we'll keep a close eye on that as we go towards the weekend. With these type of winter storms, it's usually about 48 to 36 hours out from the storm where we really have the best idea. So we're a little too far out from this storm right now, but we're expecting at least some decent accumulation to add on to what we've been getting. And I know that even snow lovers are starting to get a little weary of this pattern, but there is one more out there lingering ways off tomorrow, midweek, next week, which could develop enough to impact Colorado, but at this point we don't. So one last thing to note about that 7-day planner for the Denver area is that the high temperatures don't even get anywhere near 40 for the entire period. So all this snow that we have on the ground and the snow that is still to come will not be melting. And so that is going to be a continuing issue that we'll deal with in the Front Range. So I'm a hardy snow lover. I'm good with this active pattern, but I know that even the snow lovers are starting to get weary of this pattern. So be aware of those storms that are still upcoming, and thanks for joining in this extended 9 News digital forecast. We'll see you later.